He was the alpha who never let anyone get close, until he met the omega he couldn't let go. Will Rin give in to the pull of a love he's never felt before? Subscribe, like, and comment to follow their journey. The morning sunlight spilled through the large windows of Ren's cafe, casting soft golden light across the polished wooden tables. The faint scent of freshly baked bread mixed with lavender from the small vases on each table, creating an atmosphere both warm and calming. Ren moved quietly behind the counter, arranging croissants in neat rows, the gentle clinking of porcelain cups punctuating the silence. He had opened the cafe nearly a year ago in this small town in Provence, escaping the endless noise and rush of the city. Here life was slower and people appreciated the simple pleasures. A good cup of coffee, the scent of flowers, a warm smile from a familiar face. Ren liked it that way. Peaceful, predictable, and manageable. The bell above the door jingled. Ren glanced up, expecting the usual morning crowd. A few locals, tourists, someone stopping by for a coffee before work. But the man who stepped in made him pause. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a crisp navy blazer with a white shirt that suggested effortless elegance. His hair was dark, neatly styled, and there was a quiet confidence in the way he moved, yet it wasn't overbearing, it was just noticeable. His eyes, a deep shade of amber, scanned the room with something between curiosity and amusement. Ren cleared his throat. "Bonjour." "Bonjour," the man replied, his voice smooth and deep, carrying a hint of charm. He walked to the counter, giving Ren a small, polite smile. "This cafe, it's very inviting." Ren felt a faint blush rise to his cheeks. "Thank you. We try to keep it cozy." Marcus, he caught himself thinking the name immediately, though he didn't yet know it, glanced around again, taking in the flowers in the vases, the warm wood tones, the delicate pastries lined neatly behind the glass display. "It feels different. Quiet in a good way." Ren nodded, unsure of why he suddenly felt the need to keep his distance. There was something about this man, something magnetic but also slightly unsettling. People like him weren't common in this town. People like him weren't common anywhere. "What would you like?" Ren asked, trying to steer the conversation back to practicalities. Marcus' eyes met his, and for a moment, there was a flicker of something, interest, maybe amusement. "Coffee. Black. And perhaps one of those croissants. They look excellent." Ren smiled faintly, turning to prepare the order. "Coming right up." As he worked, he could feel Marcus' gaze on him, and it was oddly distracting. He forced himself to focus. The coffee machine, the butter on the pastry, the precise angle of the croissant in the plate. When he finally set the cup and plate in front of Marcus, the man leaned forward slightly. "Thank you. I don't usually come to places like this," he said, gesturing vaguely at the cafe. "I tend to prefer grander establishments. But this is charming." Ren's heart thumped. "I'm glad you think so." Marcus took a sip of the coffee, his eyes never leaving Ren. "It's excellent," he said. "Strong but smooth. Just the way I like it." There was a pause, a delicate, almost charged silence between them. Ren felt a strange pull, a feeling he couldn't name but recognized as dangerous. Dangerous because it made him want to smile when he usually remained reserved, dangerous because it made him feel seen. Truly seen in a way he hadn't felt in a long time. Marcus broke the silence with a soft chuckle. "I hope this isn't forward, but you have a good energy. Warm, calm, welcoming." Ren blinked, unsure how to respond. Compliments like this were rare, and genuine ones rarer still. "Thank you," he murmured, tucking a loose strand of hair behind his ear. "I suppose I try." Marcus' lips curved into a small, appreciative smile. "You succeed." For a moment, the world seemed to shrink to just the two of them. The quiet cafe, the morning light, the faint scent of lavender mingling with coffee. Ren felt his chest tighten. This feeling was unfamiliar, intoxicating. Marcus leaned casually on the counter, studying him with an expression that was difficult to read. "Do you live here long?" he asked, tilting his head slightly. Ren hesitated, then nodded. "About a year. I wanted a change, somewhere peaceful." "I can understand that," Marcus replied. "Life can be overwhelming." Ren studied him carefully, noticing the subtle kindness in his expression, the patience in his tone. There was a gentleness that seemed to soften the edges of Marcus' presence, making him approachable without losing the quiet confidence that marked him as someone not easily forgotten. "I suppose it can," Ren said quietly. "But this town, it's a good place to breathe." Marcus smiled faintly, looking around the cafe once more before returning his gaze to Ren. "I think I might come back tomorrow," he said casually, though there was a hint of something deeper in his tone. Ren's heart skipped a beat. Sure, if you want. Marcus' smile widened just slightly. I do. I think I want that very much. Ren felt a strange warmth spread through his chest, equal parts nervousness and anticipation. He wasn't used to people showing such focused attention, and yet, there was something comforting in it. Marcus finished his coffee slowly, savoring each sip, and then placed the cup back on the saucer with care. Merci, Ren, he said softly, his gaze lingering. Ren blinked, startled by the use of his name. He wasn't sure why it felt so intimate, but it did. You're welcome, Marcus. As Marcus walked toward the door, the bell jingled again. He paused briefly, glancing over his shoulder. Until tomorrow, then? Ren nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. Until tomorrow. The door closed behind him, leaving the cafe quiet once more. Ren took a deep breath, trying to steady the sudden rush of feelings. There was something about Marcus that he couldn't quite name, a pull he had no intention of resisting, though he knew he should. He shook his head slightly, laughing to himself. Focus on the flowers, he reminded. Yet even as he returned to his work, Marcus' presence lingered, like the faint scent of a warm breeze that refuses to fade. And for the first time in a long while, Ren found himself looking forward to tomorrow. The morning sun crept through the shutters of Ren's cafe, catching dust motes in its golden light. Ren hummed quietly to himself as he arranged a new bouquet on the counter, a mix of lavender, peonies, and tiny white daisies. The scent was calming, grounding him in the routine of his day. The bell above the door jingled, and Marcus stepped in as usual, with that effortless presence that seemed to command attention without trying. Today he wore a simple gray sweater over dark jeans, casual but still undeniably striking. Bonjour, Ren greeted, trying not to let his heart race. Bonjour, Marcus replied smoothly, flashing a small smile that made Ren's chest tighten. You're up early. Always, Ren said, gesturing toward the counter. The cafe opens at 8, but I like to get here before the first customers arrive. Peaceful. Marcus leaned lightly against the counter. I can see why. There's something calming about this place. And about you. Ren's hands stilled on the flowers. His ears tingled faintly, a subtle, familiar response that only Marcus seemed to trigger these days. He shook his head, embarrassed by the flutter in his chest. It's just his words, he told himself. Nothing more. Marcus, however, seemed entirely unbothered by the effect he had. In fact, he seemed almost aware, his amber eyes softening as he studied Ren carefully. You arranged these beautifully, he said, nodding toward the bouquet. I think they suit you. Ren flushed lightly. Thank you. Flowers, they're honest. They don't hide how they feel. Marcus tilted his head, intrigued. Much like you, I think. Ren's chest tightened again. There it was, the subtle pull that came every time Marcus spoke like that. Not just interest or charm, but something deeper, instinctive. Something alpha. Marcus reached over, almost unconsciously brushing a strand of Ren's hair back. It was a fleeting touch, gentle, but it sent warmth blooming through Ren's chest. He stepped back slightly, trying to mask his reaction. I should start the day. The first customers will be here soon. Of course, Marcus said, his smile softening. I'll wait. It's nice just being here with you. The next hour passed in quiet rhythm. Marcus helped set up small displays of pastries for the morning crowd, chatting lightly, laughing softly at Ren's dry humor. The way he moved was careful, attuned, almost as if he were aware of how easily Ren could become flustered, how easily Ren responded to his presence. Ren felt it, a faint warmth in his chest, subtle but undeniable, like the pull of a tide he couldn't resist. He knew it was more than admiration or attraction. It was the way Omega sensed alphas, the low hum of instinct, the quiet, protective energy that Marcus exuded without saying a word. And yet he pushed it down. He had his independence, his life, his cafe. He shouldn't let himself be pulled in. Marcus, meanwhile, seemed unaware, or perhaps perfectly aware, of the effect he had. He simply stayed nearby, talking quietly, laughing softly, and letting his gaze linger just enough to make Ren's skin tingle. By mid-morning, the cafe had filled with locals stopping for coffee, their chatter and laughter filling the room. Marcus and Ren moved seamlessly around each other, their small touches, the passing of a plate, a hand brushing briefly over the counter, sending sparks through Ren that he struggled to hide. At one point, Ren caught Marcus staring at him, amber eyes thoughtful, almost pained. What is it? He asked softly, curious. Marcus shook his head, smiling faintly. Nothing. I enjoy seeing you like this. Calm, focused, alive. Ren felt his ears warm. You really do have a way with words, he murmured. Marcus leaned a little closer, lowering his voice. I'm serious. I care about you, Ren. In ways I can't always explain. Ren's breath caught. The words carried weight, the subtle undertone of an alpha who didn't just admire, but felt a quiet, undeniable claim, a need to protect. Yet there was no pressure, no demand, just care, patient and unspoken. I appreciate that, Ren said softly. But I'm careful. I've been hurt before. Marcus nodded slowly, eyes softening. I know. And I don't want to push you. I can't stop feeling this pull toward you. I want to be near you to see you safe, happy. Ren's heart thudded. The warmth spreading through him wasn't just from words, it was instinctive, primal, subtle, but unmistakable. He could feel Marcus' presence in a way that went beyond attraction. Something inherent to the alpha, the quiet magnetic force that made omegas like him react. And yet he still hesitated. I don't know if I'm ready for all of that, he admitted quietly. Marcus reached out, brushing Ren's hand lightly with his fingers. Then we'll take it slow. I'll stay near but I won't push. I just can't let go. Ren's breath caught. The pull was stronger than ever, a low hum in his chest, a comfort and a longing all at once. He wanted to pull away to protect himself, but he also wanted to lean into Marcus, to feel the warmth of that quiet, unwavering care. The bell above the door jingled again, signaling another customer. Marcus straightened slightly but stayed near, watching Ren with soft amber eyes. I'll leave you to it, he said finally. But I'll be back tomorrow. I hope that's all right. Ren nodded, barely trusting his voice. All right, see you tomorrow? As Marcus walked toward the door, there was a subtle shift in the air, a sense of connection neither could deny. Ren returned to his flowers, hands trembling slightly, heart racing. He knew instinctively that Marcus' presence had left a mark, something that would linger, quietly pulling him back the next day and the day after that. The cafe was calm once more, but Ren couldn't shake the feeling that his life had just tilted, ever so slightly, toward something new. Something he hadn't expected but might not be able to resist. He arranged the flowers carefully, trying to steady his racing thoughts. And as he did, a small smile tugged at his lips. Tomorrow he realized he would see Marcus again. And he would be ready, for the pull, for the warmth, for the quiet inevitability of an alpha who couldn't let go. The afternoon sunlight spilled lazily across the cobblestone streets of the small French town. Ren was closing up the cafe for a brief break, wiping down counters and humming softly to himself. The scent of lavender lingered in the air, mingling with the faint aroma of coffee and pastries. Ren? Marcus' voice called out before he even reached the door. Ren turned, a small smile tugging at his lips despite a hint of irritation. Marcus was leaning casually against the doorframe, hands in his pockets, amber eyes warm but intent. You're here again, Ren said, trying to keep his tone neutral. I told you I'd be back, Marcus said smoothly, pushing off the doorframe. I thought I'd help you close for a bit. Make it easier. Ren hesitated, adjusting a chair. I can manage, it's not that complicated. Marcus stepped closer, a subtle hum vibrating low in his chest, the faint alpha energy Ren had grown increasingly aware of over the past weeks. I know. But I like being near you. Ren stiffened slightly. He had come to care for Marcus, yes, but there was a line he was trying not to cross. Marcus, sometimes I need space, he said softly, looking away. I like your company, I really do, but I also need time to breathe. Marcus froze, the soft hum of instinct pulsing slightly stronger. He hadn't expected the words, but he understood immediately. Omegas were sensitive. Subtle signals of discomfort or stress weren't easily ignored. Yet the pull inside him, the quiet, relentless alpha need, made it almost impossible to step back completely. I know, he said finally, his voice lower, tinged with sincerity. I don't know how to do that. I want to stay close. I want to care for you without overstepping. Ren glanced up, heart softening. It's not that I don't want you near. Sometimes I feel like you're everywhere I am. Marcus' lips pressed into a thin line, then curved into a small, rueful smile. I can't help it, he admitted, voice low. It's not possessiveness, not exactly, it's more like instinct. I care about you, Ren. I need to make sure you're all right. To make sure no one hurts you. Ren's chest tightened. He could feel the subtle warmth of Marcus' energy brushing against him, that quiet alpha presence that made his own omega instincts stir. It was comforting, but overwhelming. I know, he whispered. And I appreciate it. I really do. But I need to be able to stand on my own sometimes. I can't depend on someone all the time. Marcus nodded slowly, understanding dawning. He took a small step back, not away completely, just enough to give Ren the space he craved. I'll try, for you, he said softly. But you should know, letting go isn't something I'm good at. Ren's lips curved into a small, amused smile despite the tension. I figured as much. There was a pause, a quiet moment where the afternoon sun filled the cafe with warmth, and the only sound was the faint hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the wall clock. Marcus leaned casually on the counter, watching Ren. There was no pressure in his presence, only a steady, unwavering care that felt grounding to Ren in ways he couldn't explain. You know, Marcus said after a moment, I've never really been like this with anyone. I usually keep my distance. But with you, I feel like I should stay. I want to stay. Ren set down the cloth he had been using to wipe the counters. Marcus, I'm not asking you to leave, he said softly. I just want us to find a balance. Between closeness and space. Between dependence and independence. Marcus' amber eyes softened, a subtle warmth radiating from him. I can do that. I want to do that. Because I care too much to let go and I care too much to smother you. I'm not always good at finding the middle ground. Ren's heart thumped, a faint blush warming his cheeks. Then we'll figure it out. Together. A comfortable silence settled between them. The tension eased, replaced with understanding and quiet intimacy. Ren felt the subtle pull of Marcus' alpha energy still near him, but it was no longer overwhelming. Instead it felt protective, grounding, and tender. Marcus' voice broke the silence, soft but full of meaning. You know, I don't just like being near you. I want to be someone you can rely on. Not someone who forces themselves in, but someone you choose to have by your side. Ren's chest swelled with emotion. The subtle hum of his Omega instinct stirred in response, a mixture of comfort and longing. I want that too, he admitted. Marcus leaned closer, his hand brushing lightly over Ren's as he passed a plate across the counter. The gesture was small, casual, yet it carried all the weight of unspoken care, of quiet devotion. Ren's heart fluttered and he felt a warmth bloom in his chest, a mix of instinct, desire, and trust. They moved through the remainder of the afternoon side by side, working together in a rhythm that was effortless yet intimate. Words were exchanged softly, laughter shared quietly, glances lingering just a moment too long. Every touch, every subtle energy exchange strengthened the bond growing between them. By the time the cafe's last customers left, the sunlight had begun to fade, bathing the streets outside in soft gold. Marcus and Ren stood together near the door, the small town quiet around them. I'll go, Marcus said reluctantly, though his amber eyes were reluctant to leave. But I'll be back tomorrow. I hope that's all right. Ren nodded, heart still racing from the closeness, the energy, the pull he felt toward Marcus. It's all right, see you tomorrow? Marcus smiled softly, lingering just a moment longer before stepping out into the fading light. Ren closed the door behind him and exhaled, feeling the subtle ache of absence already settling in his chest. He arranged a final bouquet of flowers for the evening, his mind not on the work, but on the quiet pull, the gentle hum, the alpha presence that Marcus carried effortlessly, and that Ren already couldn't ignore. Tomorrow he knew Marcus would return. And with him, the quiet, persistent pull that would not let Ren go, an inevitability Ren had a feeling he might not want to resist. The late afternoon sun painted the small town in shades of gold and rose. Ren's cafe, usually bustling with morning activity, was now quiet, the scent of lavender and fresh bread lingering in the air. He wiped down the counters, humming softly, when the familiar jingling of the doorbell made him pause. Marcus stepped inside, hands in his pockets, eyes warm and steady. Even in casual clothes, a soft cream sweater over dark jeans, he radiated that quiet alpha presence that Ren had grown so accustomed to, yet still couldn't fully resist. Bonjour, Marcus greeted, his voice low and warm. Bonjour, Ren replied, a small smile tugging at his lips. He felt the familiar pull in his chest, the subtle hum of Marcus' alpha energy, comforting and grounding, yet stirring his Omega instincts in ways he had begun to accept. Marcus moved closer, leaning lightly against the counter. I thought I'd check in. Make sure you're surviving the quiet hours, he teased softly. Ren chuckled, shaking his head. I can manage, but I'm glad you're here. There was a quiet pause, the kind that didn't feel empty but full of unspoken words. Marcus' amber eyes softened, and he reached out, brushing a loose strand of hair behind Ren's ear, a gentle, intimate gesture that made Ren's chest flutter. I can't help it, Marcus admitted quietly. I still feel like I need to stay near you. Even when I try not to. I can't let go. Ren's ears tingled faintly, the familiar warmth of Omega response spreading through him. I know, he whispered. I don't want you to. I need to know it's okay to be me, to have space too. Marcus nodded slowly. It's okay. I can do that. I want to do that. Because I care too much to let go, and I care too much to smother you. Ren felt his heart swell at the honesty, at the quiet patience, at the way Marcus seemed to understand him without trying to control him. He took a careful step closer, closing the small distance between them. Then, let's figure it out. Together. Marcus' lips curved into a small, relieved smile. Together, he echoed softly, voice low, steady, full of unspoken promises. The two moved through the rest of the afternoon side by side, finishing the final preparations for a small town festival happening the next day. There was laughter, soft teasing, and fleeting touches. Hands brushing over trays, shoulders leaning close in passing. Every gesture, small and subtle, carried the weight of care and connection, growing the bond that had slowly, quietly formed over weeks of morning coffees and shared moments. As the sun began to dip behind the hills, casting long shadows across the cobblestone streets, Marcus and Rin found themselves sitting on the small cafe balcony, the town quiet below. The sky was streaked with gold and pink, a soft breeze carrying the scent of blooming flowers from the nearby gardens. Marcus draped an arm around Ren's shoulders, pulling him close. I like this, he murmured. Just us. Quiet. Together. Ren rested his head against Marcus' chest, listening to the steady hum of him, the soft, grounding alpha presence he had come to rely on and trust. I like this too, he whispered. Cozy, peaceful, perfect. Marcus tilted his head, brushing a kiss lightly against the top of Ren's hair. I'll never let you go, Ren. Not really. Not if I can help it. Ren smiled softly, closing his eyes against the warmth of Marcus' embrace. And I don't want you to, he admitted, letting himself fully relax into the comfort and safety Marcus offered. The evening stretched around them, golden and quiet, the kind of time that felt endless and intimate. They didn't need words for everything. The touches, the quiet laughter, the shared warmth spoke volumes. Months later, the cafe was alive with the gentle bustle of townsfolk and tourists, the air rich with the scent of fresh bread and flowers. Ren moved behind the counter, arranging a display of bright tulips while Marcus helped a small group of children pick out pastries for their families. Careful with those, Ren teased softly, holding a delicate bouquet. Marcus smiled, taking the flowers from him gently. I'll try not to ruin it, but I think it's already perfect. Kind of like this. Ren's cheeks warmed at the remark, and he leaned into Marcus' side instinctively, feeling that familiar protective warmth that still made his Omega instincts hum. You really couldn't let go, could you? Marcus grinned, amber eyes soft and teasing. Never. And I never will. They moved through the cafe side by side, comfortable, connected, a quiet rhythm that spoke of trust, care, and love. It wasn't rushed, it wasn't overwhelming, it was steady, grounding, perfect in its simplicity. Later, as the sun dipped low in the sky, they closed up the cafe together. Marcus draped his arm around Ren's shoulders as they stepped outside, strolling down the cobblestone streets lined with flowering trees and warm lights. The air smelled of evening rain and lavender, soft and inviting. Ren smiled up at Marcus. I never thought I'd feel like this again. Marcus stopped, tilting his head to look at him, amber eyes warm. Like what? Safe, Ren whispered. Loved, and still free. Marcus smiled, brushing a gentle kiss across Ren's temple. That's how it should be, he said softly. Always. Together they walked toward the horizon of the small town, hearts intertwined, a love steady and unshakable, rooted in trust, care, and quiet devotion. The Alpha who couldn't let go had found his balance, and the Omega had learned to lean without fear. And in the golden light of the French evening, nothing else mattered but the warmth they shared, and the knowledge that they would never let each other go.